Hello Year 5, it's Mrs Gill here. We are beginning start of the week, Monday, week 4 for our maths session. So this week we're going to begin with some mental maths practice and we're going to have a look at multiplying numbers by 10, 100 and 1000. Now the first thing I want you to do is I want you to think about what happens to a number when I multiply it by 10, 100 or 1000. In particular, what happens to the digits. So let's have a look then. When I multiply my number by 10, the digits move one place to the left. When I multiply my number by 100, the digits move 2 places to the left. And when I multiply a number by 1000, the digits move 3 places to the left. So let's have a little look now at some examples of numbers. We're going to begin by looking at multiplying by 10 and we're going to start with the number 17. Now when we multiply by 10, each digit moves one place to the left. So our 1 moves into the hundreds, our 10 moves into the tens column, and it's very, very important, if we remove these place value columns, it would again look like 17. So we must remember our place value holder there, so it's 170. So 17 multiplied by 10 is 170. Now what we're going to do is we're going to look at the number 567 and multiply that by 10. So each digit moves one place to the left and we must make sure we have our place value holder there. So you can see that it's 5,670. Okay, and finally the third one then, a little bit trickier this time as we're looking at decimals. We've got 28.9. So let's begin with our tens, move to our hundreds, our ones move to our tens, and our 9 doesn't stop on the decimal point, it moves one place over the decimal point to the ones, so we get to 9. So it's 289. Well, so we have 28.9 multiplied by 10 is 289. Okay, let's look at these next ones then. So this time we've got the number 13 and we're going to multiply it by 100. So this time the numbers move 2 places to the left. So our 1 moves to the thousands, our 3 to the hundreds, and then we must make sure we have our place value holders for 1,300. And the next one then, 583 multiplied by 100, our 5 moves 2 places to the tens of thousands, our 8 to the thousands, and our 3 to the hundreds. We've got our place value holders there, so we've got 58,300. And finally then, the third one we are looking at is 31.9. We are multiplying that by 100, sorry. So it moves 2 places to the thousands, the ones 1 moves to the hundreds, and our 9 moves 2 places to the tens, and our place value holder in there. So we've got 3,190. And then finally on to timesing by 1,000. We're going to start with 32, and this time we're moving our number 3 places to the left. 1, 2, 3, and our 2 does the same. Put in our place value holders. This time we've got 32,000. So 32 multiplied by 1,000 is 32,000. Next one then is 347. Our 300 is going to move 3 places. 1, 2, 3 to our hundreds of thousands, and our 4 and our 7. Put in our place value holders there then. We've got 347,000. And finally then, on to our last one, we've got 41.9. We're going to multiply that by 1,000, so each digit's going to move 3 places. 1, 2, 3, and our 1 and our 9, and put in our place value holder. So this time we've got 41,900. So today then, you're going to choose a column for your challenge today. You're either going to decide in green to multiply your numbers by 10, in your orangey yellow colour multiply it by 10, and then try the same numbers multiplied by 100. So you do 74 multiplied by 10, and then you try 74 multiplied by 100. And the same with the red column, but obviously you've got the thousands there to try as well. If you want to create your place value column like I've done in this video, you can do to help you with moving the digits. And if you could pause the video now, and on the next slide will be the answers. So here we have the answers for you, and you can see here we've got where we've multiplied by 10 and by 100 for the orangey yellow column, and then with the red column you can obviously see where we've multiplied by 10, multiplied by 100 and by 1000, so you can mark those now. So beginning the main part of our session today, we're going to be looking at reading and interpreting a table's information. Now, to be successful today, it's going to be really, really important that we very carefully read the headings of our tables. We think about very carefully and understand the information and what we need to work out from the table. We'll probably be using bar models because we are going to be applying addition and subtraction skills from last week. So those bar models are going to be really, really useful for that. So I've got here a table that I'd like you to have a look at, and the question says, what could the question be? What could it be asking you to do with what you can see so far? So have a little think, some possibilities. And what I will start to do is just removing the heading of the table. And you can see we've got some more numbers here as well. So you can begin to think about what questions may you be asked about this table. Okay, let's have a little look then. This is a potential question we may be asked. This table shows the number of people living in various towns in England. What I should say at this point is this isn't necessarily completely 100% accurate and true. This has been used to help with Mrs. Gill's math sessions today. So these populations may not definitely be true. And the question says, what is the total? It's a really key word there. What is the total number of people living in Formby and Telford? So have a little think. What do you think you might need to know? What do you think you might need to do in order to solve this problem? Let's have a little look at it together. And I've got some really key questions around the outside of my problem today that I definitely would like you to refer to, and they might be part of your working out today as well, and that's absolutely fine. So my first question I'm interested in is, what knowledge may help me? Well, actually, if I've got to work out the total of Formby and Telford, I think it's going to be really important. This knowledge here is going to really help me to actually know the population. So I'll put an F there for short. I've got 89,765 is the population in Formby, and in Telford it's 366,000, sorry, not very good with 6 there, 467, and that's going to be really, really important today. Now, what I'm being asked to do then is I'm being asked to find the total. Now, to me, I know the total means to add. So how will I calculate? I'm going to need to add these together. If I'm thinking about the total, if I'm thinking about a bar models that are going to help me, this bar model is going to be really useful today. And the first thing I'm going to need to do is I'm going to need to find the total of the two populations. So that's the Formby population, and then the Telford population going in next, 366,467. It says down here I might estimate. Well, I like to do quite a rough estimate, so I'm going to say it's going to be roughly about 90,000. 90,000 add 360, yeah, 360,000. So I'm looking for my answer to probably roughly be, I can use that round and adjusting from last week, probably about 450,000. What strategy am I going to use? Well, I think I can definitely see I'm going to be having some crossing of boundaries there. So I'm going to use my written column method for this one. So I will work this one out for us now. And 89,765, and it's always worth referring back to those calculations. So let's add those up. So we've got 5 and 7 makes 12, over. We've got 12 plus one more is 13, That's 11, another 12, 16, and for that next one then, we've got 6 and 8 makes 14, is 15, and 4. So we've got 456,232. Okay, so the next one we're going to look at today is a slightly different one. We need to look at spotting the change in the question. So it's the same table, and the question this time says, what is the difference in the number of people living in Bedford and Carlton? So the same thing again. This is the information that I'm going to need to know, the knowledge I'm going to need to know. So I've got my Bedford population here, and I've got my Carlton population here as well. And the first thing I need to do is to think about, what does this mean this time about finding the difference? Before, it was asking me for the total, which is adding. I'm actually looking for subtraction here. So what I'm going to be doing is comparing the two. So I'm going to be subtracting the largest amount from the smallest amount. So this is what my bar model will look like to represent my problem. And the first thing I need to think about, if I'm going to be subtracting, is a rough estimate. So I've roughly got about 230,000 subtract about 120,000 roughly. And so looking at that, I know the difference between 23 and 12 is 11. So I'm probably looking at about 110,000 as my answer. Now when I think about the strategy I'm going to use, because there could be some exchanging going on here, I certainly think I'm going to use, like last time, a column method. So I'm just going to write those numbers out now. Okay, and I will just change colour so it's a bit clearer for you to see my working. So I'm going to work this out now. One is 1, 2, 0. Exchange there. Okay. If you're unfamiliar, you feel a little bit stuck on any of your methods this week, remember you can have a little look back to last week. So I've got my answer of 116,021, and looking at roughly, I was looking for around the 110 mark. That seems like that will be my final answer there. So the difference between those two populations, the difference I've subtracted, is 116,021. Again, there is a slightly harder question. And if you would like that challenge, you might want to come back to this in a minute. You might want to pause the video now and have a go at your challenges. But if you get onto a slightly trickier one, there's a second step. So I'm going to show that for those of you now that are ready for it. But those of you that think, yeah, I've seen enough now, I'm going to work on the total and the difference questions, you can get on with those. Okay, so this question then says, how many more people live in Telford, so there's Telford there, than in Carlton and Bedford combined? So that's all together combined. Okay, so what we need to think about there then is we need to work out first of all and think about, we've got Carlton, we need Bedford, and we need Telford's populations. Now to begin with, it's Carlton and Bedford that we need to know what combined is. So if we think about combined, it actually means adding. So we're looking at the combined total of Carlton and of Bedford. So the first thing we're going to do then is we're going to need to find the total of those two. So we've got 232,698 and 116,677. Okay, so I know that actually I'm going to need to add these two together. So we're going to do that over here. So we've got 232,698 added to 116,677. 7 add 8 is 15, 1. 9 add 7 is 16, add 1 more is 17. 6 and 6 is 12, add 1 more is 13. 2 add 6 is 8, more is 9. 4, and 3. So we've got 349,375. So that is our total of the two of those. Now what we're going to do is we are going to need to, when we're looking at how many more people, we're looking at the difference between the total of these two and Telford. So the total of Telford, as you can see here, is 366,467, and we are now trying to find the difference. So we've added to begin with for that first step to find the combined. What are we going to do to find the difference, to work out how many more live in Telford than Bedford and Carlton combined? So what we're actually going to do here is we're going to need to do subtraction, and again you'll notice I'm going to use my column method to subtract here, and this will also be my final answer. You see I'm running out of space. These are quite tricky questions, these ones. I'm just going to do that in a different colour so you can see it's your final answer. 7 take away 5 will give us 2. 6 take away 7 we can't do, so we've got 16 take away 7 is 9. 2 take away 0. 16 take away 9 is 7. Take away 4 is 1. So we've got 17,092. So how many more people live in Telford than Carlton and Bedford combined? It's 17,092. So quite a lot there. And like I say, these questions are trickier, so when you come onto them you can see you've got your first step of adding the combined, and then that where it says how many more, it's that finding that difference, that subtraction there for you. Okay, we look forward to seeing your work today. Thank you for listening.